Ladies and gentlemen, hope you are doing fantastic today. Welcome to the Love Your Vibe podcast. And I am your host, Sean Grant. So happy to have you here to join me for today as we delve into the topic of love and relationships. And I'm so excited because I feel like I have so much to offer on this subject. It's one of my favorite things to coach people on. And it's just, there's a lot that goes into it that I feel like people don't really understand. And, once they gain some clarity on the whole idea of relationships, of love, then it gives them the power they need to not only succeed, but excel. And that's where we want you to be. So if you're tuning in, thanks so much. We got a great show for you today. So let's get right into it. Talking about the topic, say farewell to loneliness and hello to love. Okay, so it's kind of catchy there. And when we think of loneliness, what I want you to understand is when I say lonely, I don't necessarily mean being with just anybody. We can be by ourselves and still not be lonely. I feel like loneliness is one of those things where it's an instance where people feel like they are desperate. I think it's a level of desperation, and they feel like that they just need somebody. So what happens is they settle, and they settle for somebody who they're not completely compatible with. They settle for somebody who's not trying to give them, the best possible energy, the best possible vibration, the best possible relationship available. And, what happens is you wind up regretting, and then you're stuck in a relationship that you can't get out of. So when I think of loneliness, that's what I think of. So what I teach first, before anything, whenever somebody comes to me and asks, how do I find my dream soulmate, my ideal person to be with, my lifelong partner for the rest of my life? How do I find that individual? And what I do is I teach them first, one, how to clear out their baggage, not necessarily because a little bit of baggage is good, because what that does is allow you to grow within a relationship. But for the most part, anything that can be a detriment or anything that can sabotage a really good relationship for ourselves, we want to do everything we can to get rid of it. That's a whole nother podcast, but definitely want to think about those things as it relates to you finding your ideal mate and finding a great relationship for you. Okay, so we talk about, that's the first thing that we teach them. The other thing that I teach them, and this is something that is so significant, it is, you can't ignore it. It has to be there. If you're ever going to experience a love that transforms your life, you have to fall in love with yourself. Okay? Fall in love with yourself. And I'm not saying from a narcissistic standpoint. What I'm saying is when you fall in love with yourself, you accept yourself completely for everything that may not even be something you're proud of. You learn to find the divine perfection and imperfection. And so what do I mean by that? What do I mean is you see people through God's eyes. And when you see people through God's eyes, you aren't looking for anything to call them out on. You aren't looking for anything to tear them down. You're only looking for reasons for them to love themselves. And what we do, we take that and we put that same type of focus, that same type of concept, and implement it onto ourselves. And then we can create an immense amount of unconditional self-love. There was a podcast earlier that we did on self-love, and it kind of ties into this a bit. The fact of the matter is, if you don't love yourself, the person you get into a relationship will reflect that. People in every area of your life will reflect your lack of self-love. So this is not only just about our relationships, this is about our life in general, and we've all experienced at one time or another what happens when we don't have the type of self-love that allows people to treat us how we want to be treated, how we deserve to be treated. And so this may be a hard knowledge or truth to accept first and foremost, but look at your life. Look at your life and see, are my friends, is my partner, are the people within my life giving me the type of treatment that I deserve? And if so, then you likely have a high level of self-love. If not, if people try to, make fun of you, if people try to do anything other than what feels pleasant towards you, then you got to think about how much self-love you're giving yourself. Okay? And a lot of that just kind of comes down to boundaries. I've always felt in the beginning you have to establish your boundaries, because if you don't, then that is a really prevalent time when people start to figure out if they can take advantage of you. And we just don't want that, because, that's when you start to get in a hole. That's when your life starts to get into shambles, and we just don't want to touch on it. We want to, one, establish that self-love after we've gotten rid of those beliefs. And then two, we want to create those boundaries, because people will respect you when you're able to say no. You don't have to be a yes man or a yes woman when you get into a relationship. Feel free to not do the things that you don't want to do when it comes down to it. And a great way to really understand this is if it doesn't feel right intuitively, if your gut starts to bother you a little bit in reference to it, then you know that it's something that you probably should say no to. Okay? So, getting back to it, overcoming loneliness. We're on that topic of self-love, and it just comes down to just how would you treat your ideal mate? Ask yourself that question. How would you treat your soulmate if you're not in a relationship yet? And even if you are, how would you treat somebody you were so in love with that you wanted to spend the rest of your life? And from there, you go to the point of treating yourself with that exact same thought in mind. How would I treat my ideal mate? Okay, you know what? I'm going to do this for myself. If I need to go to the spa and grab a massage and relax and maybe have even an entire spa day, that's what I'm going to do. If I want to treat my significant other, my ideal mate, to a movie, then you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a movie. I'm going to get my favorite dish for dinner that I enjoy, and I'm going to do that. And what you wind up doing is you tell the universe, because once again, I say this every podcast, but I can't afford to not say it. Everything is vibration. You give the universe that vibration that, wow, this person really does love themselves. So let me bring somebody into their life who can reflect that exact same thing. Because another truth, whatever we're experiencing on the inside is going to reflect to us on the outside. So you see where I'm going with this? So this reaches a point to where you can be alone. Like, I enjoy being alone. I enjoy my solitude. I enjoy, doing stuff for myself, but I'm never lonely because I have such a high level of self-love, knowing that in order for me to be my very best for my wife, who is my soulmate, I have to take that time to love on myself. All right? So we're clear? Perfect. So self-love will not only eradicate, but more or less alleviate if you're experiencing loneliness. And then from there, when you've experienced that type of self-love where you do all these wonderful things to yourself, you create your boundaries, you take care of yourself, this is when you will see that other person manifest into your life. And I guarantee you this is one of the most exciting experiences ever, because you've done so much, you've worked so hard on yourself, and now the universe wants to reward you for all of your hard work, and basically reclaiming the divine truth that you are a phenomenal person. You are an unlimited being. You are a loving being. You are infinite in all these numerous amount of ways. The universe wants to reward you for that by allowing you to share that life with somebody who can reflect the same things that you're vibrating and experiencing on the inside. Okay? Guys, it's not always easy, right? But it is simple. A lot of times relationships get complicated because people decide that they want to make them complicated. But the truth of the matter is, and I say truth because if you live your truth, if you live what's really near and dear to your heart, you will have great relationships. You will have a great partner. You will have great friends. You will have great, what I like to call strangers. See, here's what happens when you experience a great amount of self-love. Like this morning, I couldn't help but to smile. I was just smiling because I was so happy. I had a massive breakthrough in my life, and I just loved myself and appreciated myself so much for creating this breakthrough, or just being able to listen to my divine guidance and experience it, that I was radiating such a high vibration. I was just absolutely glowing, and every stranger I would pass had something nice to say. They were feeling my vibration. All right. And so that's when you know you're really, really dialed in to loving on yourself the way that you need to. So before I go, I'm going to give you this, and this will be something that I feel like you can take with you. You can use it today. You can allow it to be something that will continually grow within your life, that will help all of your relationships. And I touched on it earlier, but I want to touch on it again because it is a very important subject or topic in this case, and that is see everything and everyone in your life through divine eyes. All right? See everything and everyone in your life through divine eyes. And see, what happens is when you do that, you learn to allow, and you learn to accept, and you learn to take joy in every single person around you, every single person you come in contact with, every single thing that manifests within your life. You learn to take all those things, you learn to just embrace it to the standpoint of you can look at it without judgment. You can look at it and feel good inside, and you can look at it and radiate peace and love. This is what it means to see everything with divine eyes. You see the perfection and all the imperfection. And you remember one of the greatest concepts ever, especially when it comes to relationships and helping you to deal with just about anybody. Guys, we are all connected. All connected. Every single human being on this earth, in this universe, everything you see is connected to you by this wavelength of energy. And when you realize that, that can help you move towards seeing things through the divine eyes and ultimately seeing things through love, because love is the most powerful force in the universe. Guys, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a happy hump day, happy Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing and talking to you guys soon. This is Sean Grant signing off. Take care.